Well, Merry Christmas. You made it. The plans are made, the cookies are baked, the stockings are stuffed, the gifts are bought. Some of you still have a little bit of shopping to do when you leave here, but for the most part, the gifts are bought and wrapped. By this time tomorrow, you'll be able to sit back and relax. You made it. I'm Jason, one of our pastors here at Trinity. In these last few weeks leading up to Christmas, we've been looking at the story of Jesus' birth, that story that our kids helped us act out just now. And we've looked at it through the eyes of each one of those participants in this story, asking the question, how can their experience help us survive Christmas? And what we mean by that in part is, how do we make it through the busy schedules and the family drama, the endless task list, while still finding some peace, even some joy in this? We've been looking at how to make Christmas manageable, but really we've been asking about the bigger stuff in all of our lives, the deeper pain, the harder challenges. Some of that brought on or certainly heightened by Christmas and Christmas time, but some of it that we brought with us into the Christmas season. We've talked about Zechariah, who couldn't get past his pride, about Elizabeth, who was too old and facing that quiet stigma of infertility. Both of them looking at some social reproach and nobody around to care for them in their old age. We talked about Mary on the other end of the spectrum, who was too young, also facing some social pressure, some stigma of her own, apparently having been unfaithful to her fiancé and now pregnant. And about Joseph, who must have felt cheated, ashamed, and planned to just sort of cut his losses on this thing. We talked about shepherds who nobody wanted to be around, nobody trusted. And now comes the time for this baby to be born. At the end of a 90-mile journey that would have meant days of walking or riding. No picnic in the best of times, the best of shape, let alone being 9 months pregnant. A baby born after a long journey because now of all times, the emperor wants a census. So Mary and Joseph go to Bethlehem, their ancestral town, and there is no room for them in the inn. We know that. That part is in every children's Christmas pageant. But what they don't mention is something's a little off here. Because think about it. If they're in their ancestral town, if they're in their hometown where they have relatives, what are they doing staying at the inn? Here's what's going on. It wasn't actually a requirement in a Roman census that everyone had to go back to the town they were from. I mean, imagine that. Rome controlled all of Europe, most of Asia, even parts of Africa. Imagine the upheaval that would have gone along with something like that. Imagine the immense cost that would have been involved with uprooting half the known world and sending them to other places. It wasn't actually a Roman requirement. But Augustus, who was the emperor at the time, was known for being kind of especially deferential to local customs. Basically, as long as the count happened, he didn't care how it happened. And it was a Jewish custom during registrations like this one that everyone went back to their ancestral town, because land had been given to specific tribes within Israel. This is all the way back in the Old Testament when those former slaves who had come out of Egypt, who had wandered in the desert for 40 years, and finally they go into the promised land, the land of Israel. And land is given to them, divided up by tribe and by family. And it couldn't stay in the wrong hands forever. If, for example, someone died and a piece of land fell out of the family line, these registrations were a chance to get it back into the right hands. So this adds another layer to Mary and Joseph and their presence in Bethlehem. Because under the right circumstances, either one of them could have been an heir, could have had a claim on a piece of land, a right to a piece of land. And if that was the case, whoever was currently working and cultivating, controlling, making their living off of that land wouldn't have been too happy to see them. Essentially, they were there to take something. If this is accurate stuff, they were there to take something that was theirs, but that someone else had and wanted to keep. And so if that's true, it's not so much that there was no room. What it means is these people, their people, had no room for them. And you've felt that before. Going all the way back to school days. Whether you were excluded at the lunch table or picked last on the playground. Or maybe you had a parent who you could never seem to please. Never do quite enough to get them to love you. Maybe you're in that marriage right now. Or you go to work every day with a coworker, a supervisor, who for whatever reason has it out for you. You might be one of the many people who will go home from here tonight to a quiet house and will wake up tomorrow in a quiet house because your phone isn't ringing, the invitations aren't coming, and you might know why. There was some conflict or disagreement that at least you know about. Or you might not know why. The kids or grandkids have sort of just moved on. Maybe you got too old for them or too old-fashioned or something. We all have some rejection in our lives. We all come up against people who have no room for us. Or we're carrying something, some grief or shame, depression or some other diagnosis or condition. Maybe it's just exhaustion at trying to get everything right and hold it all together and trying to say to somebody, I'm not doing it. We're carrying something that family and friends seem unwilling or unable to make room for. This story of Jesus' birth is full of that kind of stuff. Full of people who have skeletons in their closet, embarrassing stuff just below the surface, some of it really, really public. People who are stuck on heart issues, nursing old prejudices, and holding grudges to the point that this laboring woman ends up in a stable with her baby born in a manger, which is a feed trough. It's full of people like that. And yet, Jesus is born. And that's a biological reality of childbirth. When the time comes, the baby is coming. It's a biological reality, but there's meaning in it as well. In spite of it all, God enters in. True for you tonight, too. In spite of it all, whatever it is for you, in spite of it all, God enters in. And not only that, but a chorus of angels shows up. The full company of heaven is here, in this place, in this mess. And let's just dwell on that for a quick moment. The village closed all the doors, but God came in anyway. That's how badly he wanted a relationship with you. That's how badly, how desperately he wanted to repair the rupture between you and him, to make things right between you again, and to open the way for you never to walk alone. Because all of this is, of course, about you. All of it is for you and for me and every other person who's alone and rejected and separated from him. Your Creator was and is unwilling to leave you in a state of rejection. He wanted you back. He wanted relationship with you. And if it meant showing up in a feed trough, that's what he was going to do. Because deep, overflowing love drove him, compelled him to be with you and to make things right for you. I don't know where every single one of you is in your feelings toward all of this. If you still have questions or you're not quite ready to take this Jesus thing on board yet, I just want to invite you to consider this for a moment. What would it mean for you if, in fact, this is accurate? What would it mean for you if, in fact, God wanted to be with you that badly? wanted you to be part of his family that deeply, that he would show up in a feed trough in the middle of all this dysfunction. How would it speak to that sense of rejection that you carry somewhere in your heart? The presence of Jesus right in the middle of this mess at any cost for you means you're not a reject or a burden or a screw up. You're not. The presence of Jesus here in this for you shows that you're loved and valued and that you're someone who's worth making some sacrifices for. I firmly believe all that's true for each one of you. But it doesn't quite answer the question. What do we do when there's no room for us? So let's look at this birth in a stable again from a different angle. Remember, this is definitely not how they planned it. No mother would plan it this way, right? But they were in a stable because there was no room anywhere else. That's where they found room. And that's where Jesus was. So here's what I take from that I hope will be helpful to you. When there's no room for you, whatever that looks like in your life, however it plays out for you, when you are rejected and there's no room for you, do what they did. Go where you find room. Go where there is room, and God will be there. What does that mean? What does it look like? Let me suggest 3 things for you. First, there is room for you in this story that we've been exploring and reading together tonight. We talked about this a little bit earlier. It's full of people with a past, people with some baggage, and God drops right in the middle of it, which means there's room for you and your past. Whatever pain or misstep or difficulty you're bringing with you, this is a story that accommodates people with baggage, and you can find welcome in it. There's room for you in this story, and God will be present to you in it. So here's a tangible thing that you can do. Go there. Spend some time in the story. You can do that right now, starting tomorrow or even tonight if you want to. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, you can do this. Even if you don't completely understand all of it, you can do this and you can get something out of it. You don't have to fully understand it or even totally accept it yet to start reading it and to get something from it. Start with the passage we just read, Luke chapter 2. Figure out where that is in your Bible, table of contents, or in an app, or even just Google it, and just start from there. You can do it on your own, starting today. But if you want an organized way to read through this on a team with other people, with some explanations and some helps, we're starting a year-long reading plan, year-long reading journey together in January. There's information about it in the handout that you received when you came in, a code you can scan to get on board. And that's open to everyone. Go where there's room for you. Spend time in this story, and it will shape you. It will heal you. I'm confident in that because I've seen it happen. And I'm confident this story will shape you and heal you, and you'll get something from it, because what we find as that story continues to unfold is there's room for you not only there, but also in the kingdom that Jesus is building. That's a little bit of insider language. I'll tell you what it means in a moment. Jesus didn't come into this messy situation to leave it that way. He didn't enter into brokenness to leave it broken, and he doesn't intend to leave you in yours either. The healing and the restoration, the making things new, that's what we mean by kingdom, this kingdom that Jesus is bringing. It means making new what is broken, healing and restoring what needs it. Those are the hallmarks of what Jesus did while he was among us and what he promises to keep on doing, even now, right up until the time that it's complete. Those are available for you too. That healing, that restoration, that newness and fresh start, all of it is available to you. And it's all part of what we all are called to do in the world around us, to work toward good and restoration and flourishing. There's room for you in this story, and there's room for you in that, in this kingdom that God is putting together, unfolding even now. And most especially, there's room for you in this place. There's room for you here. Among all these other people who have some baggage, and some past. Talking about me too. All of us who brought some rejection and conflict and loneliness with us tonight. There's room for you here too. Room to be received and encouraged and supported, and more than that, to work on some of that healing that Jesus offers. You don't have to accept every detail of the story to give that a shot and to find some benefit in it. In a community of people who are looking for the same thing that you are. So whether you've been here for a lot of Christmas Eves or this is your first, if you've been a part of the church for many years, or maybe this is the first time in many years that you've been back inside of one, either way, my invitation to you, my invitation to all of us is the same. Keep exploring this together with us. There's room for you here as we experience together the welcome and love of God who wanted you so much that he waded right in. There's room for you in this story of restoration and newness and fresh starts that we celebrate tonight. Merry Christmas.